Eric Muadit, Muadit.com. Just wanted to take a look at the phenomena of failed breakouts. Let's take a look at DZZ. Now I have to admit that during this breakout here above 8.89, which was this weekly closing high here, the stock looked like it was breaking out, and so I did send out an alert to subscribers and it failed. So subsequently, obviously the best thing to have done was to get out after that failed breakout, or at least make sure you had a 5% stop. So you can see that this failed breakout looked good at the time, because at that particular point in time we can see here that the RSI was just about to move to 3-year highs. That's why it was a instrument of interest. And also we see that around the same time we had at least one of our MACDs moving to 3-year highs. So the stock was meeting the minimum requirement during that period, but we see what happened is subsequently, instead of breaking out, it actually turned into a resistance level, as you can see here. So instead of breaking out, that became an area where the market was rejected there. So that stock was rejected there. Again, that rejection happens to be at about 61.8 on the monthly, and we can also see that here there was a failed monthly breakout, and that failed monthly breakout here at above 8.49, which was the monthly breakout that we were playing also here, that failed. And once that failed also, one had to be either get out at the failure point, or at least make sure you have a 5% stop. So we can see here that the risk is to hold on to stocks that are failing to hold their breakout levels. So right now, since that failed breakout here, we can see that the stock has really plunged, moving from about $9 all the way to the lows here this week of about $5.80. So watch out for failed breakouts. And we can even see another instance of a failed breakout here as an example. So the market tried to break out, or the stock tried to break out, or the ETF, and subsequently failed. That failure in breaking out from about $7.80 went all the way, bringing the stock back to $6. And even in the current market, we can see that there's some instruments that are failing to break out. For example, as of right now, this very instant, we are looking at DUG, which is failing to break out above $86 and change. So that failed breakout now becomes a concern, because the more it stays below that previous weekly closing low, it tried to break out this morning and seems to be stalling, and that could suggest that it's very easy that a failed breakout could lead lower. Remember, failed breakouts are notorious for taking stocks lower. And we can also see here another example of a failed breakout attempt that took the ETF lower. So from here, failed breakout there above the previous weekly closing high, you got this plunge here. And again, also we can see another failed breakout attempt coming into 2015 on a weekly chart. After that failed attempt, you can see that there was another plunge. So the key here is, as long as the stock is holding to break out above the previous weekly closing high here for 2015, so we can see the level it needs to break out above is 86.08. Failure to hold above that might suggest that there's lower prices. Otherwise, if the stock wants to do well, it needs to break out successfully and hold above 86.08. For now, we are seeing it fail as of right now. So suspicion here becomes that with a failed breakout, this might open the odds for lower prices. Eric Muadit, Muadit.com. As always, good luck, peace, and blessings. EACS.